back to the Fantasy Waiver Wire. This your boy, Tubby. Let me bring the music back in. Sometimes I forget we got to DJ our own.
I get it in my head.
Yeah. It gets me ready for the show. I like that little break.
Yeah.
Right
exactly.
before we go live, man. I'm just going to update it for next year. But welcome back to the Fantasy Waiver Wire. This your boy, Tubby. With me, as always, is Greg.
What up?
Week 14. Hell of a matchup tonight between Green Bay and Detroit. I'm sure if you're on the cusp of getting into the playoffs, you have a lot of players. Well, I don't know. Maybe just Jones. Nobody trusts the Green Bay Packers wide receivers for some reason, but you definitely have some Detroit players.
Well, the reason nobody trusts them is because you don't know who's going to be the one to go off. I mean, right. Is it Dobbs? Is it Watson? You know, it doesn't. It's hard to predict. You know, Jacobs, is a start. Love could be a start if you've not got anything better. The Detroit defense and their secondary's banged up. They've been hurting all year, so you could go with Love in that situation. Mm-hmm. You know, but the front four is still doing good. For the Za'Darius coming in there was a huge pickup for them, and after they lost Hutchinson, so that's kind of solidified their run defense. They played. Well, it's interesting. The Thanksgiving Day game, they played great for a half against Chicago, and then all of a sudden the wheels fell off in the second half. It was like what? It was like polar opposite games. So, I'm sporting the Lions jersey tonight. Of course, we are both Eagles fans. I didn't lose a bet. I'm originally from Detroit. I actually got this jersey when I took my son. He's a Dolphins fan. Took him to see a game there. So I got a Megatron jersey. This is back when Megatron was playing. Just so. You know, if anybody started shit, I'd have a Lions jersey, be like, hey, cool, you know. So, I grew up in Detroit. I never rooted for the Lions for a lot of reasons. A lot of fans from there didn't root for the Lions and picked another team. They were horrible. Yeah. I grew up in the mid 70s and they were bad. And then even when they got Barry Sanders in the 80s, they were still bad. I mean, they went to an NFC Championship game in 90 or 80, 88. 89, I think it was 89. And it was all because of Barry Sanders. The rest of the team was atrocious. So I remember when I was a kid, they do song parodies and stuff on the radio. Mm-hmm. They did this song called Another Kitty Bites the Dust, like Another One Bites the Dust. Right. And they'd go, hey, everybody, here comes the Detroit Lions. Listen to it roar. And you hear, meow, meow. And as a kid, I went, I can never root for that team. They're being disrespected by their own city. Right. And my uncle was lived in New Jersey. He was out there and he was a huge Eagles fan, and so he would bring me t-shirts and stuff like that. So that's the story. But I have family there. They're a big Lions fan. I like seeing them do good because this is one of the few times that they've ever been a winner. So I mean, I'll support them. Like I said offline before we got on, if it's between the Eagles and the Lions, I'm not wearing this. I'm going to be rooting for Lions. And I know they're going for the number one seed.
Oh, yeah.
But my thing is, hey, the Eagles got an easier schedule. Lions got to play this game, and then they got to play Buffalo. It's a long road. If Detroit gets that number one seed, they have earned it. So whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to sit there and hate on the Lions just because the Eagles are trying for that number one seed. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. We just let it play out, baby.
Megatron. I remember Megatron ruined Thanksgiving for us that 1 year.
Yes, we were
3 touchdowns.
Unbelievable.
Still, I will never forget what we were walking down because we had really good seats, man. Maybe about 10 rows up on like the 20-yard line, enough to see Chip Kelly's dumbass. Y'all could see him. I could just stare a hole right through his head. Man, I remember that time he was kneeling down. You couldn't even see him. We was like, where the hell is Chip Kelly? Anyway, so I remember walking down.
Mark Sanchez here.
Yeah. I remember walking down, man, first time at Ford Field. That what it's called still, right? Ford Field or whatever. Walking down, and the Lions were warming up right in front of us. And I was like, man, who is that dude? He's big as hell. It's fucking Megatron. You just see him, man. He just looks different than everybody else out there. But until you see him live, you really can't just appreciate how dominant he is. And he scored 3 touchdowns. Against the Eagles on that Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this dude is good.
That's what I remember the most is how amazingly he was as far as bodying to the ball. A.J. Brown's very similar. when you watch him as far as bodying to the ball. I mean, Megatron, you just throw it up, and the guy was going to come down with it, and that was what a great problem to have. It was D. Slay playing for them back in those days?
Man, I don't think so.
I don't think he was there. I think it was like 2016 was when we went to that game, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So yeah, so we'd have to look it up. But anyway,
I'm not sure. Slay has been around for at least 10 years now, so maybe he was playing in that game.
I think he was playing because I think he got a pick in that game. Well, Eagles got absolutely trounced. That was Sanchez. It was like, I just remember watching the game. We were just glad to be there.
Oh yeah,
on Thanksgiving. But I remember it was a bad game.
But we didn't think we were going to get whooped.
No.
I mean, it was like I was stunned. I was sitting there like, Megatron caught that? All right, that's whatever. One touchdown. We had DeMarco Murray, Sanchez, and old Chip Kelly. That's all I really remember. Sanchez, Murray, and Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
Like I just remember that
DeMarco Murray thing. Oh Lord. I went last year to the first game of the season, the Eagles and the Lions. And that was the game I think the Eagles won 35-32. It was like the Eagles had them by like 10 points for a lot of the game, but Lions just would not go away. Mm-hmm. And it was when you started to see the beginning of this Lions team that year, because the Eagles got away with the win, and then the Lions caught fire and had a great season, as we all know. But I remember what's so funny is I remember me and my friend walking out of the stadium, and I think Goff threw a pick at the end of that game that kind of sealed it for the Eagles. Every Lion fan came up to me because I was in my Eagles jersey and said, man, we're never going anywhere as long as Jared Goff is our quarterback.
Man.
And a bunch of them said it. Everybody was bitching about Jared Goff. And now they chant his name in the stadium.
I always go back to this. It's about how you are received. Right. So think about, I know it goes underrated. I talked about how Russell Wilson was received in Denver versus how he was received in Pittsburgh, just other things. And then, but when you look at that situation, it was like they kind of threw Goff at the Lions, like here, and then for Stafford to go to LA and immediately win the Super Bowl, you had to feel like you're getting like leftovers. You know what I mean? It was just how he was received. It was kind of like, this guy, the guy who failed, and y'all just ship him off to us. They didn't care that he had been to a Super Bowl. They didn't care that, he had arguably one of the best shootouts in NFL history in that Patrick Mahomes game. Remember that shootout? It was an absolute.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, barn burner. Barn is like 52, 53, something like just an incredible passing performance by both quarterbacks. And the Rams came out on top. They didn't care about any of that.
No.
So it's crazy, man, how, hey, he sees.
What's weird is somebody showed a meme, and I can't remember everybody that was on it, but the Rams packaged a huge deal. And the meme said, here are the players that the Lions got in exchange for Matthew Stafford. They changed draft picks, but it was Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Laporta, and Jamison Williams. That's a friggin' haul for Stafford when you look at it in retrospect.
Right.
And that those players have helped build this team.
Oh yeah.
To where they're at. And so sometimes it's the trades that you do make and the sacrifices you make. I think they were down on him after that New England Super Bowl. Yeah, he didn't play good. The offense looked very anemic. So they were looking at that veteran quarterback because they were trying to buy themselves a Super Bowl, the Rams, and they did it. So
Odell, you get Odell. I think they got Bobby Wagner as well too, and they just pieced together a few veterans.
Yep, they stacked it and got their Super Bowl, and now, they still have a decent team, but those guys are Whitworth retires and Donald retires, and it's kind of a shell of what it was, but still dangerous.
Mm-hmm. And your opponent too. You went up against a Bengals team who caught a little bit of luck and fire in the playoffs, because that Bengals team was like 10-7 that year. They weren't number one seed. They were 10-7. Still has one of the weirdest plays that I've ever seen, where the whistle blows and they still throw the ball and it's a touchdown against the Raiders. It's like everybody was picking the Raiders to go far that year.
Yeah.
And they knock them off. Then they beat Kansas City, and it was like, holy shit. So that was their thing. But every game was really close.
Yep.
All dogfight games. And yeah, man. What a Super Bowl. So everything has to line up versus like, would we have won the Super Bowl if we didn't play the Chiefs? Of who else could have crept in there and we still play the same, keeping everything the same with us? Because we went up against the number one defense in that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then Patrick Mahomes, just like, you just go up against some of those teams, man, that are obviously a dynasty, which the Chiefs are, man. Went up against dynasties, right? We went up against the Patriot dynasty, trying to win one with McNabb and them, right? Then we stop a Brady back to back.
Yeah.
And then we run up against another dynasty in the Chiefs. This has just been in the last, 20 years of just the Eagles' luck. Like, we haven't played no cupcakes or no guys who just lucked up and got in. We played really number one and number two quarterbacks of this last 25 years, Mahomes and Brady. That's who we faced in our Super Bowls. 2 Bradys and 1 Mahomes. And obviously you have the Raiders in the 80s and stuff. But just, last 25 years, man. We played no slouches.
I don't have any bad feelings about those Super Bowl losses either, just because they showed up for both those games.
Oh, yeah.
We lost by 3,
But how luck, you just hope you get a little luck on your side, man, and that team gets knocked off. And you go back in history, man, if a lot of teams, like the Ravens, it's like if a better offensive squad plays the Ravens instead of the Giants in 2000, do they win? Because remember, Ravens couldn't even score, really.
No.
But you couldn't score on them. Anyway, back to the fantasy.
The whole point is, we're talking about the Lions' rise to prominence. And and tonight is like probably one of the biggest games of the season that's happening in a very crucial week in fantasy, because everybody's trying to get in their playoffs. I blew my shot. I feel really bad about last week. How can I not? I had Jerry Jeudy on my bench. So I had started Jameson Williams instead, and I could have easily won. And I ended up.
I'll let you. I'm gonna let you finish, then I was thinking during that time.
It was
where you at?
Right there. Yeah. So that's this week.
Oh, that's this week. Yeah. Bang.
There we go. Down where Florida man is. So this was my game to win, and I made 2 really bad decisions. I started Stafford because I thought he would have a better game against New Orleans than Tua did at Green Bay. Tua did have a horrible game at Green Bay, but he still scored 42 points, which is just crazy. They did not look good at Green Bay. For somehow Tua scores 42 points. And then putting Jameson Williams in as a starter. I did it because they were playing the Bears. They were at home. It's Thanksgiving. And Jerry Jeudy was playing Denver, who had been so stout on defense.
Mm-hmm.
How is Jerry Jeudy go off for 257 yards? And it's just, it was really, really sad. Otherwise, I had a really good game, but then I left all that on the bench. Both those 2 guys.
Yeah, man.
Easily could have won. And
I don't really check the, I try to enjoy football, so I don't really have my phone in my hand. So I did know roughly where my team was. Like, I didn't know what my opponent had, but I know who he had playing. And I was just like, oh man, I know he had Denver's defense. And I know he had Knicks, which is almost a handcuff to my Sutton, but it's almost like Sutton's his handcuff. It works when you have the receiver, because my receiver got just as much as his quarterback and he's throwing it to him. But when he threw that 93-yard touchdown, I was like, man, surely I lost. But the whole time I'm like, oh man, I know Greg is having a laugh. He has Jerry Jeudy. I didn't even know you had him on the bench.
Yeah.
I didn't know this until way later on. So I looked at then when he threw that 93-yard touchdown, I passed. I was just like, oh man, I know I lost this week, because I seen Aaron Jones get that garbage touchdown against Minnesota. For Minnesota, that at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And he caught like a few, just like, those garbage points can just kill you.
Yep.
But I was sitting there like, oh man, and I woke up when the game was over. I checked the score of the game, because I was pissed, because when Njoku caught his second touchdown, I said, and I have him on the bench. I was like, man, whatever, man. The night, and I sat Harris. So I'm sitting there thinking, man, I know Greg is happy as hell. There's no way he doesn't win high score this week. I could not believe.
Cost myself money. Cost myself $100.
I could not believe it. When I saw it, and then my brother says, I didn't check my score. I said, I don't want to check my score tonight because I want to get me some sleep. I don't want to be sitting there second guessing everything. I said, I'll check my score in the morning. My phone, bzz, bzz, like 11 o'clock. I'm like, what? My brother says, man, that Josh Allen double touchdown got you the highest score. I said, what?
Yeah.
And then I checked my phone, or he said that, you won. I checked my phone. I was like, wow. And then I said, I got a high score. I said, what did Greg score? And then I go down and I see Judy and I just could not believe it. I understand Tua, but because I know you started Judy against me. Yeah. So I just thought that you still had him in the lineup because he's been doing really well. I couldn't believe it.
This is one of those things you can overthink fantasy football, and Judy has been so hot. But look at that number underneath the 50. It's that 15 that I was staring at going, Denver's defense. I got to have the right matchup. Right. If I was going to beat Florida Man, top player in the league. So I'm panicking about trying to make sure I have the perfect matchup. And in doing so, cost myself a game. I lost by a little bit over 14 points, and I had 92, sitting on the bench. And it's just gut wrenching. Now, I felt bad initially. Then I looked at the standings, and even so, I'd still be on the outside looking in. I'd still be one, even if I was tied, I'm so far off in points that I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't make it. So if you go down, so right now I'm sitting at 5 and 8. I would be 6 and 7 just along with these guys, but look how far down I'm at in points. It just I wouldn't make it. So.
Yeah, points 4. You would still need some help from
a lot of help. Now they play each other this week, so that's the thing.
Oh, wow.
I would be out. So I'm like, all right, I did start Judy, but I would have to, whoever loses, I would need the lowest. And they're both 22, points. So it's like, I needed a ton. So I would have to win and then outscore one of these two guys, whoever wins between the two. And that ain't happening. I ain't scoring 100 more points than either of these guys. So it's fine. So initially, that's what helped me sleep at night. I did cost myself $100 in the top score, but that's what helps me sleep at night is like, okay, I wouldn't have gotten the playoffs anyway.
It was just that the start that you had to the season.
It
was so rough. It was such a rough start to the season that, man, when it came down to it.
Yeah, I was able to recoup and come back, but 0-5, you can't start a fantasy football. That's the first time I've ever went 0-5 ever. I don't think I've ever gone 0-4 to start a fantasy football season. So yeah, it was a rough one. So hey, it is what it is. I'm looking forward to Vegas next year.
Yeah, man.
And then I ain't drafted Anthony Richardson for shit. No.
I don't blame you. Yeah, man, this league shaped up crazy. And I know if you TDE Dave Free, I know he was like pissed too. When you see the Josh touchdown get you get 2 tutties off of in one drive. 2 tutties, one drive. And you lose by what? Yeah. What I win by like 5? Hold on. Something just disgusting. Let me see. Oh, week 13. Here we go. The Josh Allen double tutty. That's sickening.
Unbelievable.
That I would have.
And now he's fighting for his playoff life in a match, which is actually kind of cool. You got one match to determine who gets the final playoff spot in our league. So good luck to both of those guys.
Yeah, man.
It'll be fun. I'll keep my eye on it. Yeah. I'm out, so I just get to have a fun weekend and just watch football.
Oh, yeah, man. You were right, man. I was kicking myself because you were like, hey, start Najee over Taylor, and I'm glad it worked out when it was only like 3 points difference, because I was like, man, I shouldn't have sat Najee, and I just couldn't believe how many catches. Sometimes that game script can just be crazy, man. He was doing like everything for him, but yeah, man, definitely survived, and we were 6 and 6 going up against that matchup. And to your point, there are some really good matchups. Oh, let me look at this. Let me go league. I have to condense the screen so much that it can't see the icons clearly. So this week, I'm on a bye. I'm not on a bye. Excuse me. I have Sutton on the bye. I have Taylor on the bye, and that's huge. But luckily, I clinched.
Yeah,
and this week is kind of like a whatever. Either way, I'm going to have to win on week 15 and put up some numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good thing that this is the last bye week. So
that little comeback that I had, man, was bailed me out because I'd have been going into this week a little iffy. I have a DJ Morris questionable. He hasn't practiced all week. I have Metcalf. He's questionable. And then I really don't have much on my bench. Quentin Johnson, can't trust him.
No.
ETN, can't trust him. And then with Lawrence being out, T. Law out for the year, yep. It would be it would be emergency only to put Travis Etienne in. So definitely got a little lucky. And then, like you said, man, 6 and 7, they play each other.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, for the number 1 seed in the only bye week, remember, since we switched to this league, we used to just take 6 players.
Yeah.
4 didn't make it. But I said, man, I don't like, for some reason, it just didn't sit with me in any of the leagues I'm in where there's 2, number 1 and number 2 get a bye week. Then there's just 4 total teams playing. And it's just like, man, that's lame. Make it worth it. Make it, especially in our league, we go more off a high score. We're degenerates. We go off of the high score. We play for every week. Because remember, we didn't want to bump our total for the end of the year. We was like, let's bump the weekly.
Yeah.
So anyway, in this league, 7 get in and only 1 get to bye, but you get 3 playoff matchups, which is awesome. Like versus you got 4, got 2 games for consolation, excuse me. And then you have 2. It's like, man, let's get some football going. Let's get some matchups going. So yeah, man, week 15. I'll show you the playoff standings right now. Only the number 1 seed gets a bye, and everybody else you got to play. We just like the NFL over here, people. That's how the NFL is now. So yeah, man, I didn't like the second seed getting that bye. I was like, let's make it worth it. So yeah, man, you have to. But to the overall point, it takes a really bad year to not make it in our league. So look, 2-11, 3-10. That was a really bad year.
Yeah.
And then really it's just somebody's going to be on the bubble. Unfortunately, man,
it's me.
It's you this year. But most of the time, you have a 70% chance of making the playoffs in this league. But yeah, man. And then we play for that good old belt. Oh, I hope it doesn't leave me. But if it do, it's all good. But yeah, man. Number 1 seed, Florida man. Number 2 seed, too much sauce.
Playing for
the number 1 seed in the first round bye. That's huge.
Yeah.
Fantasy football is about surviving until the next week.
Right.
That's all it's about. And if somebody gives you a free week off, it automatically means you're playing for 3rd place. That bye week means I can at least play for 3rd at a minimum.
Yep.
Huge, man. Huge. Hell of a season. Florida man, too much sauce. Been having a hell of a year. Tighten up too. He's been running through, especially with Saquon. He's been going crazy.
And he could bench everybody. Just give me a consolation win. That'd be all right.
Yeah, man. Saquon is carried this.
Yeah, Saquon's got me in my other league. I clinched playoffs this week because off of Saquon's performance, and I have him and AJ in that league. So hoping for good things this week. I actually have a solid position, so I'm not really worried about winning in that league this week. So, but that's not even like a high money league. It's just a regular.
Right. I seen the first thing happen, man. Somebody that traded, they actually dropped Justin Tucker. Remember, he traded for Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
For Justin Tucker. That was a trade earlier in the year. And after all those misses, I guess my sauce got pissed.
I have him in my other league. I dropped his ass.
Really?
It's just, you can't have that. I mean, and he might make a rebound, but then you have to start playing your kicker like a streaming defense. You got to look at who's out there and what opponents do they have. Are they playing in cold weather? Are they playing in a dome? Because I can't have any more misses, because I think that Tucker had like 2 points, for last week, through 2 missed field goals, extra point. That's when you get those minus points for that. Oh, dude, even if it's a 50, he missed a 53. It's still minus points, which I
not
think,
in our league.
Yeah.
Anything 50 and above.
Yeah. See, I like that.
Anything, because that's just how
realistic.
I used to set it. It's realistic. It's like a 50-yard field goal is hard. It would suck to lose 5 points off of that.
Mm-hmm.
But 40, even if it's 49, you miss, you losing 4 points. And I think that's fair. 40-yarders and under, make or miss, going to be plus or minus the same. And then those 50 pieces. One thing I need to add is the 60-yarders for 6 points. I had Aubrey hit a kick of 60 this year. A few of them kicked the 60 this year, but it's still 5 points. So that's something I made because it's so rare anyway to kick a 60.
It's just 1 point. It's just one point.
So, yeah, man, just looking at this playoff matchup, because this is kind of what it's coming down to. I'm trying to think, man, I don't know. I don't even know. Let me see. Too much sauce.
I mean, you got to win no matter what. You got to win no matter what. Play against yourself.
I just, I hate to go. It's all about those matchups, though. Those matchups in Week 15. Not that I really want to get ahead, but those Week 15 matchups are going to be. We don't even know. Let me see. Let's say I play Florida Man. Let's see who he has in Week 15. Or is that showing this week? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. You got to show up and play, but The few last couple years, man, the bottom seed has won it. 7th seed has won it back-to-back years. So it doesn't matter how you come in. You just got to make it. Yeah, man.
Who gets hot?
We got going on. Let me see here. Fantasy waiver wire, really just old buddy off of what's his name? Isaac
Garendo.
That was really the only really top pickup.
No, it's leveled out as far as, with the injuries and everything. See McCaffrey go out again, just kind of ending it.
Unbelievable.
Your T-Law going out. But if you had those guys, you were already prepped because, nobody saw T-Law coming, but he was hurt earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
So, you dealt with that as far as like with ETN's numbers dropping off. But that was the big one. And other than that, there wasn't a lot of movement. Russ had a great game this week, and so a lot of people picked him up,
right?
But then he's got the Eagles next week. Is he going to play against that Fangio defense and play really well? Who knows? If you're taking a chance on Russ for the first round of the playoffs, that's what you got to face.
Oh, that's a good call. I didn't even think about that. He either going to make you look like a genius or an asshole. Yeah, because that's what the Eagles defense has played like this year.
Yeah.
Make you like a genius or an asshole. Go ahead.
The only thing that worries me about this weekend is just, again, with Carolina Panthers, the Eagles, it's the injuries. You never know in those games. They're at home, but you got Clowney coming to town, freaking clown, and he always earns your somebody. So I just don't want that. He hurt Wentz and knocked him out of the playoff game, and it kind of ruined that season.
It was dirty too.
Dirty.
I remember that one. That doesn't get talked about enough. How dirty that play was.
Over his back, helmet to helmet, right in the freaking spine. It was horrible. But I don't have it. I hate that guy. So him coming to town always worries me because it's just, I hate when dirty players get involved because you never know who's going to get hurt, especially on the offensive side. If it's an offensive lineman, it's bad. So,
and it has nothing to do with knocking the Michigan player's helmet off.
No.
It has nothing to do with that. It has
more to do with Wentz. It has more to do with the Wentz thing and just his history. So
it's just banter, man.
No. Oh no, that was a clean hit. That was an amazing hit.
That was a hit that shocked the world, man. That got him drafted.
Yeah. And here's the thing though about Clowney. He never realized his full potential. He's known more for the brutal hits. If he was a great player, he wouldn't be in Carolina right now. He's bounced around the league because he's not a great teammate and he's known as a dirty player. So
Chase Young is kind of turning into that type of player too. Chase Young finished like 4th in the Heisman. Now he's on his 3rd team.
Yep.
That's crazy. We talking about, guys thought he was going to be, just one of those next great defensive ends that come into the league and dominate like the Watts have and the Bosas and guys like that. You got your Garretts. They thought it was going to be like another one of those because he was a freak at Ohio State.
Yeah.
But man, he is just I don't know what's going on, but he's on his third team.
Started off good, and yeah, just been
ACL.
kind of.
You think it was the ACL injury?
Could be, yeah. I mean, that does change everything for these guys. They just don't have that pop coming off the line.
That's been downhill ever since he missed time. They had him and Sweat was just they were good.
Very good.
Very good.
It's going to be an interesting weekend. A lot of good games, a lot of good matchups as far as determining just the playoff fates of the NFL teams and determining the playoff fates of a lot of fantasy teams out there. So you gotta have your best lineup.
Man, I am man. I've been thinking about taking Caleb Williams as a backup, just as a back burner. Because he's starting to trend somewhat in a solid direction, just solid. Because he still has the receivers to throw it to. He still has really big receivers, and the Duze hasn't really got going too much, but he's still there. I don't know.
I think you're good with Allen. Allen's got Detroit next week for the first round of the playoffs. They're banged up defensively. I think he can eat next week.
This was more so for the injury. He's been nursing that hand. I just don't want it to get to the point where he has to miss a game. I know he's playing well. It's definitely not my issue. But that hand, man, something's going on with that hand. I know he's toughing it out.
Right.
I get that. But that left hand, man, I don't know. He just plays a little bit. He can get a little reckless at times too, and take some hits he shouldn't. So I'll always need a backup.
Oh, I hear you. Yeah, I don't think he's going to miss the Detroit game, but who knows?
Oh, no doubt.
If he gets injured this weekend, that would suck.
Right. It was just definitely not benching him. But again, man, matchups. Like I said, this is probably going to be one of the very few weeks that I just kind of relax and watch football. And if my team does it, they does it. I've been fully sponsored this year. I've won 3 high scores, so that makes me fully sponsored. I'm funded. I'm up in the league now. So that was another thing too. I was like, yes, I'm funded. I'm sponsored. I got sponsored. I know Mel got sponsored a few weeks ago with his third win. Jeez. And then with my third high score, I was like, yes.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Because I gave it to you.
Oh man. I tell you, man. You know what has helped me has been DJ Moore. I don't know. I probably would have had Njoku in there, but I don't know, man. He's working out for me, man. I'll tell you that much.
Again, you're welcome.
But you have Judy, though. Judy has been balling. So it's not like you don't have the guys.
And it only works if you start them.
That's right.
I overthought it. I looked at the projections. I looked at the Denver's defense was the big thing. Was Denver's defense has been playing lights out. But I didn't realize that their other corner was hurt. And that's who really they tried to line Surtain up with him, and they kept swapping him out for the other corner, and that's who Judy just totally manipulated. And I did not know that, or maybe I would have thought about it, or maybe I would have just not overthought it. I would have started Judy, but it's all a moot point now. It doesn't matter. You got it. But yeah, that's who I picked up instead of Moore, because Moore was you look at the game log, he was very frustrating to me.
Oh, yeah.
And you just can't keep a player that's taking up a roster spot when you're trying to make moves to make the playoffs. Right. So it would have worked maybe had I actually played Judy, but it didn't work out. Yeah. So
I'm gonna go over some matchups for the week.
Yep.
Then so we have tonight, we have Green Bay and Detroit. Talked heavily about golf. We have Love starting tonight. Jacobs, who is having a solid year. Where's Jacobs? Yeah, coming up 25, 33, 29. I mean, man, he's gonna have a good game. He is having a really good year. Oh, who else we have down here? We have Gibbs, that old Gibbs.
Montgomery, yep. Gibbs and Montgomery always.
Yeah, St. Brown. How's Jameson been doing for you?
Not bad, but not great. He's had a couple of really good games. He had the gambling thing that he got suspended for. So he's one of those guys that is boom or bust.
Okay.
I was hoping he was going to boom, and it turned out Judy boomed. So,
Kraft, Laporta
has not been as great this year as he was last year. That's for damn sure. I know a lot of people who picked him up expected a lot of big things, but you're dropping 4 points against Indy, and then 15 is not bad,
right?
But it's like you look at it's every other week is a 5. 14 then 5, 19 then 5. 16.
He has a pattern.
Yeah.
Every other week.
Yeah, he's just not. I don't think Goff is. I think Goff is looking elsewhere. They've got another tight end that's kind of vulturing stuff from him. So,
could it be the Shane guy here? No,
Zeistra. No, that's not Zylstra.
It's a hell of a last name.
It's Brock, right? There he goes. Yeah.
Just a few here. They're just not hitting. They feel like they're just not really going to the tight ends.
No, not like they did last year.
Right. See what we have in this New York Miami matchup. Nobody has Rodgers in our league. I mean, I'm not surprised, but
he's not worth having. I had him briefly, and you could tell that it's not Aaron Rodgers. I don't know who this is that's in his uniform, but it's not Aaron Rodgers.
I think he's just getting older, man.
Some old dude. Yeah, some old dude.
He's just getting old. Arm don't have that much pop to it like it really used to. Yep. Speaking of arm and pop, we'll get to that one because it's next anyway. But Tua, you said Tua turned around at 365. Man, he had 3 monster weeks in a row.
And I benched him in 2 of those because I thought I would outthink it and go with Stafford. One of it didn't cost me, but last week it cost me.
Man, 3 monster weeks. So 40, you get 40 or more your quarterback. That's a monster week, man. Okay. H-Chan. I'm going up against H-Chan this week.
Solid. 20 points a week usually. Yep. Jeez. Solid. H-Chan's a solid play.
Man, okay. Got H-Chan over there. I know. Oh, Brees.
Up and down. He had a good week last week.
Let's see. Is he playing this week? I may need to pick
up. He had a bye last week. So, and then the week after that, he had 7. So, he had a boom week against Indy in the week 11. Mm-hmm. So, he's just not. Yeah, I drafted him. That was my number 1 pick in the first round. And it's not, it's not really not worth number 1. I could have drafted Saquon. I would have been much better off. But I think everybody's saying that this year.
A couple good wide receivers in this matchup. Wilson, Adams, Hill, and Waddle. Waddle is, man.
He's only he's rostered 89 now, but yeah, he's had a couple of good weeks after a bunch of spotty ones. When Tua came back, his numbers went up.
Yeah, after that New England game, I was like, man, I should have took Waddle in that trade that Joe tried to send me, but I was like, let me just wait and see how it pans out. Yeah, Hill, I went up against Hill a couple of weeks ago. Oh no, not Hill. Well, I went up against Taysom Hill. This week. He took that ACL injury. That was huge too for me when Hill's injury. I mean, everything had to go right for me. Double touchdowns on one play.
Yeah. Who gets that? It's crazy.
Fantasy. That's why I say. But we got Atlanta and Minnesota. Man, Kirk Cousins, man. Oh, you think they're gonna put Michael Penix in there? Where are they at on playoff bubble?
They're still in it, dude. They're still because that West is. I mean, it's South. It's right. South. It's if you look at the standings, it's tight. Okay. The West and the South are tight. Yeah, they are 6-6 right now. So it's crazy.
Oh, because New Orleans and Carolina.
Yeah,
which is a big. Yeah, Saints are 4-8. And they're 3rd. Okay. Carolina. Oh, you're right. So they're still playing for something. They're not out.
But it's like he's not
6-6.
But if he's not playing good, I don't know if you want to turn it over to Penix right now.
Right. I agree. That'd be a bit crazy.
They're leading the division right now. So you can't turn
it over.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah.
You can't turn it over.
Yeah. 6-6 with Tampa and then New Orleans and just the fact that New Orleans even still has a shot to make it in to the playoffs. They're sitting there at 4-8. I just didn't want to. Let me see. Let me share this tab. Here we go. Right here. They're 4-8.
Yeah, 2 games out.
Like just the fact that they can even attempt to get into the playoffs is
and
crazy.
This is the season where they all play each other too. So all the division opponents were all playing within, so it's going to come down to these last few games.
Yeah. I'm with you. You shouldn't.
With the West, you got Arizona, the Rams are still in it, and and the Seahawks are all still up for that NFC West. It's crazy right now. Seahawks hold the advantage, but it's what are you looking for?
Oh, just the standings. I was just looking for the standings.
So they got the advantage one game up over. You got to go down, I think, to the NFC. There you go, West. Yeah, so everybody's still in this. You got Rams at 6-6, Arizona 6-6, and Seattle 7-5. And even the Niners are still in it at 5-7. They're not out. They're 2 games out.
Yeah.
To play.
Wow.
Insane.
Wow. And it's crazy. Any of these teams sneak into the playoffs can easily get a dub.
Oh, yeah.
Arizona, Seattle, just weird. All of these squads are.
And then you look at it, the North, and outside of Chicago, those teams are killing it right now. 9 wins, 10 wins, and 11 wins in the North.
Yeah,
give me a break.
And to be fair, Chicago's had some heartbreakers.
Yeah. Oh, they've lost some close games, dude.
Look, this you can even this one last week against Detroit.
Yep,
was a heartbreaker. Minnesota 3 points.
Yep.
Green Bay 1 point.
The Hail Mary against Washington.
Then you got the Hail Mary against Washington. Man, they would if that Hail Mary doesn't go through, they're on a 4-game winning streak. The Bears, and you never know what happens. You know, your momentum and stuff like that. But they've definitely caught some few raw deals. Green Bay just 1 point, huh?
Yeah,
that's 3 straight division games, and they on an average of 2 points per loss. Look at this, right? Green Bay division, right? 1 point.
And
Minnesota 3 points. Detroit 3 points.
And they pissed the Detroit game away too. It's like, dude, you're in field goal range.
Crazy.
Why are you taking 30 seconds to run one freaking play? And you got a timeout.
Yeah.
Oh, it was insane.
I could not believe they didn't get any points there.
Thanksgiving in a Detroit household, and I was still flabbergasted that the Lions won that game. They didn't deserve to.
Could not believe it, man. That was a little bit of mismanagement, definitely down the stretch, and it cost him his job, man.
Oh yeah,
it cost him his job. Oh man. Okay, go back to these standings. Eagles. Well, while we're here, I'll look at these birds. So we haven't clinched anything yet. Not even.
No, we only got a 2-game lead in the division. However, I did read that if the Eagles win this weekend and a couple of these teams at the bottom lose, then the Eagles will clinch a playoff spot for certain. So they just have to take care of business and beat Carolina. But only 2 games up. 3 games in the loss column. I think Washington's on a bye this week. So if the Eagles win, they'll be 3 up officially. So that'll be nice. 3 games up with 4 to play. That's not too bad for the division.
And you control your own destiny because we play them again.
Yes, in just a few weeks.
If we take care of the Giants, might as well look at the Eagles schedule while we're at it.
Yep.
So we have Carolina.
Yep.
Tough. The way they're playing. Should we beat them? Hell yeah. The Eagles should beat the Panthers. Like let's just keep it real here. Hell yeah.
Are they going to beat them by 12.5, which is what I saw the latest spread? I don't know.
Right. But I hate this Baltimore. I hate that we play them right after Baltimore because it feels like such a come down.
It is.
You have this matchup.
What scares me about this is that after the Baltimore win, everybody now is talking about the Eagles when we weren't being talked about before. Everybody was talking about the Lions. And now everybody is like, oh, the Eagles actually goes, Super Bowl chance. And I'm like, shut up. I want to be under the radar, but it's such a high profile win.
Mm-hmm.
And so the team knows that. They start getting respect. They start taking the foot off the gas. Team like Carolina comes in who almost beats Kansas City a couple weeks ago. Should have beat Tampa Bay last weekend.
Yeah, I don't know how I turned around. I thought the game was over.
Screwed that up. Yeah.
Do you think Thielen scored that touchdown?
Yes.
Now I didn't see the other angle if the ball moved, but it looked like a touchdown. I didn't understand.
Yeah, I think when you're Carolina, you're not getting those calls.
Man, that's
give them to the other team, and it's crazy.
Everywhere I looked at it.
So we'll see how they play on the road in Philly. It's an early game. Thank goodness, get it out of the way. But then you got Pittsburgh coming to town. That's going to be a huge, high-profile game.
Oh man.
Yeah. And then you finish out against the division.
Yeah, man. This is I don't like 3 straight division games to run it out, but whatever.
They've been doing that for years. I hate that's what they do, but
I can see
they do
2,
it for drama. Yeah, 2 is good.
but
3 is.
3.
Our whole schedule this year was setting us up for failure. If you go down the line of that schedule, the Eagles have no business being 10-2 right now, or 11-2. No bit, or yeah, they're 10-2 right now. They have no business. They had to play starting off in Brazil. Then they had one home game against Atlanta, coming off a game where they were in South America, coming back. Then you got 2 games again on the road, 1 game at home, 2 more games on the road, 1 game at home. Then you got to go to Dallas, back on the road, and then 2 more games on the road. Come on, against top opponents.
Oh yeah, this is why I was worried about this Rams Baltimore combo. I mean Washington Rams, but I was worried about this 3-game stretch here.
Yeah,
and we won all 3 of them. This was
that's crazy. I said
when I was worried about the most. I mean, you have Cincy, mentioned here, and then this Tampa. That was the only really game where it was just like we don't look good at all.
Yeah, Atlanta, they should have won that game. They screwed it up with game management. But the Tampa Bay game was the only game where they just didn't look. Yeah, they looked horrible. But now, as a result, the Eagles have the next 4, the next 5 at home, which comes into play now for the number 1 seed. So they can't piss this away. It has to be that they know this. Now, one thing I liked was when the game was over and they're interviewing Saquon, and he's a godsend to this team right now, and his mentality and everything. First thing that they said was, do you think you're going to get the MVP? Do you think that you'll break 2,000? And Saquon said, all I know is we just finished playing Baltimore and we got Carolina next. Mm-hmm. Right. So the fact that they were already on his mind and that he'd already moved to Carolina and that he's taking them seriously. If he's taking them seriously, the rest of the team's going to take him seriously because they're going to go through Saquon right now. I think everybody's looking at him as the leader. And I love Jalen Hurts, but it's the leader right now, and that offense is Saquon. Everybody's looking at him for their momentum.
Running back can never be the leader. They win and they lose based off of how Jalen plays.
I'm not denying that. What I'm saying, as far as their emotional motivation, the guy is always with the team. He's always, rallying them. He's always that cheerleader when he's not even in the game, and he's the spark when he's on the field. Jalen this year, to me, has taken kind of a back seat. If you look at his statistics, you look at it, not saying he's have a horrible year by any stretch, but 118 yards passing against the Ravens, he's clearly taken a back seat. And a lot of people saying game manager. I don't look at it as game manager. I look at it as they're playing the game plan that's going to get them there.
Jalen makes every play we need him to make, and that's football. Can you make the play that your team needs you to make? When we were down against the Saints, he hits Goddard. This is after Devontae Smith goes out. He hits, on the 4th and 3. He hits AJ Brown for that touchdown pass. Right. Jalen is made it on the QB keeper to put us ahead in the game just a few games back. He has made every play. I think because he is playing well, Saquon is able to then also play well. But I don't think it's the other way around. I don't think they go as Saquon. I think they go just like every team. Yeah. They go as the quarterback goes. If your quarterback is playing bad, you can go a little bit as your defense as well, too. Our defense has played really well. So the games have been looking a lot easier, more smooth. They kind of just a little methodic. They can have some low times, but then they can run off, 4 or 5 straight scoring drives. And I think it's like, oh, shit. And because here's why I can't put it on Saquon. Jalen has done this very same thing that we've done the last 2 years without him. Last 2 years, we've been 10-2 without Saquon. So to me, this is just like a really good addition to what we've already been doing. And it's been the greatest addition. But yeah, the Eagles ain't start winning because Saquon got there. The Eagles didn't start playing well when he got there. The Eagles have won. Did you see? This is the craziest stat, man. This is the craziest stat. That Nick Sirianni is the 5th winningest coach in NFL history right now. He has the fifth, not winning like numbers, but highest winning percentage.
Yeah.
And guess who has been his quarterback the entire time since he's been a coach in the NFL?
I think
all they do is win.
I think you're taking my comment a little bit.
No. I'm not even taking it even as a slight.
I'm not saying he's the leader of the team. I'm saying he is an emotional leader that the team has really found a spark behind him. I will say this is that the defense, thank God they're playing as good as they are, because there have been a lot of lulls on offense. I would love to see the Eagles play all 4 quarters of a freaking game offensively. And I think that, and I've said what I think it is. Sometimes it's the play calling in the first half of games. Somebody mentioned it during the Ravens game, and I kind of went, well, if that's what they're doing, then it's genius. Mm-hmm. They were talking about how it looks like they're setting up teams for the second half, calling plays a certain way to get teams accustomed to what offense they're going to run. Because you can't deny that their second half play calling totally different. Like the game against Baltimore, they're coming out running just straight pro set offenses. And then all of a sudden in the middle of the second quarter, they go to RPOs, like a whole drive. And it was like, I don't either. It's genius or it's just complete chaos. Yeah, so I think what I've seen in Saquon this year has been so much emotional support that last year, they started out the season 10-1. Mm-hmm. They looked great, but there was no cohesion. They were barely winning games. They were arguing a lot. There was no focus in the locker room, and then it all fell apart. And there was no leadership from anyone, coaches. It just disintegrated. And in part of what's going on right now, the way they're playing good together is winning. But another thing that's going on is you've got good attitudes. The players that we've got are all young, because there's other leaders. Defensively, you can't say that Jalen Carter is not right now leading that defense as far as they go where he goes. He's taken on every double team. He was held on just about every play against Baltimore.
Just about every play. So
it's these guys that are coming into their own this year that's really lifting the team. So I want to see that continue. And I like against Carolina, they have an opportunity, since they're playing one of their weaker defenses, to really put up some points, to really make a statement at home saying, yeah, this is a 3-8 team, and this is what we are. If they lose or if they win a close game, it's not going to be bad because it's still a win, but it just makes you start questioning, all right, this. Why can't they put these bad teams away? So I'm interested to see how it goes. Fantasy-wise, I would say definitely start Hubbard, regardless of how good the run defenses the Eagles have been. I don't know about their receivers, who I would actually count on, especially if they're being guarded by Q. I was worried about Isaiah Rodgers going into the Ravens game, but he played extremely well in Slay's absence. I don't even know if Slay's coming back this week. So, we get Devontae back, but we lose Goddard. So I would definitely look at, definitely got to play AJ. But Devontae could actually, if you're like trying to make your playoffs and you need a boom or bust guy, it could be Devontae Smith coming back off the injury.
Yeah, definitely. You have AJ out there. I seen a reporter ask AJ a question, because it's always the Eagles. Let me get off this tab. The Eagles media they're just hilarious. They ask AJ. Oh, yeah. I think they're just playing. The Eagles are just playing just really good football. They just make the plays that they need to make. Yeah. Are they blowing you out the door? No. Maybe the second quarter. Second quarter, we always look really good. But what we've seen is this team has been playing good complementary football. That's why I can't lean it nowhere. I can't lean it on Saquon. I can't lean it on any one particular person. It's just as a whole. But you're always going to live and die based off your quarterback play. That's just how it is. The turnovers, in like 8 weeks, 2 turnovers. Like, that's why you're also winning games, because the person who has the ball in their hands every play, who don't get subbed out, ain't nobody coming in for Jalen for a couple plays. None of that. He's out there every single play, every single game. We missed AJ for 3 games, Devontae for a couple. The only thing that has been consistent with the offense has been Jalen. throughout the entire season. I mean, which as far as like, of course we got Saquon. Don't get me wrong. He's been a monster. But I think that you can't run the ball if you can't throw it, typically. Just how it is. So when you have all those matchups, and no matter who's been lined up in there, they just been able to get it done. The turnovers are cut down. And I think that has been just helping. And the defense has been playing unbelievable. I think having guys like BG, because to me, BG was playing some of the best football on the line, period. Even 15 years in, I'm like, how is BG still look the most active on this line?
Carter drawing those double teams made him have such a great season.
Oh, yeah.
BG, if he's not getting double teamed, because BG was always one getting double teamed. And then, Fletch, when he got older, wasn't pulling any double teams. So they were taking BG out because he was our best defensive end. And now he had a resurgence. It's a shame he went down. Because imagine if he hadn't with him and Carter. Now
game
more Hunt, which will be interesting.
Yeah.
See more Sweat get involved in the defense. So, but it all starts with Carter on the defensive side of the ball.
Right. The craziest part of the start of the game against the Ravens. Had you told me, you have your game script, right? You go through the week, put your good 15 plays on the sheet. The fact that 2 of the 4 plays that we ran, the opening drive, 2 of those balls went to Shipley and Covey. Yeah. I was like, I can see if this is the third quarter and you running this obscure play, but this is your opening drive, and Shipley touches the ball just as much as Saquon. And then we go to Covey, who runs it short on third. What is going on here?
I thought Shipley had a good play. Covey, not so much. Did you hear the announcer?
No.
Oh, the announcer for the
he Frenched it up.
Oh, he kept going. There's a Covey. I'm like, who's Covey? And he finally corrected it later on in the game. But I was getting irritated. Man. I get like OCD about him mispronouncing that name. But I thought Shipley got one good carry, and I think he had 4 or 5 yards, and then he never saw the field.
It was just how early it was. I'm just keeping it within the context of opening drive against Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. Try to catch him off guard.
We're going to go with Shipley, guys. Yeah. Whoa, wait a minute. We have Saquon, sir. We have 26 right there. It's been really at the top of the league. It just blew my mind. I was talking to Ish. I was like, if you told me that 2 out of the first 4 plays was going to go to Shipley and Covey, I would have been like, why?
Well, it was like the first 3 series.
Just crazy calls,
ignored Saquon. I think he had like 2 carries and then one right up the middle on a second down after they didn't get
crazy calls, man. And it was like play calling.
That's what I was talking about with the play calling in the first quarter. It's like they're trying to be too creative instead of just going with what works. And that's annoying to me because then once you get into a rhythm, they finally establish a rhythm in the second quarter, and then it was lights out. I mean, because they got the late touchdown, which was garbage as well, because that was one of the worst holds on the and Lamar runs right by him as he's getting strangled. And those refs, that was one of the worst officiated games I had seen. The Rams game too. The Rams was like refs were doing everything they could to try to help the Rams out and keep them in this playoff.
I had lost my train. I got it back though. So AJ's in the locker room after the game, right? You just beat Baltimore. Yeah. Maybe it's like the next week. Maybe it's like maybe when they get home or something like that after practice. But he goes, AJ, did you think that the Eagles would be ranked 32nd in pass attempts or something like that? 11 games into the season, he's just like, we like, I don't know how to answer. What you want me to say to that? We're winning the game. And I think that's why the media is so crazy, because everybody sees things differently. You got guys that, what's his numbers, or what did he do, or who's taking the back seat to who? It's like, a good leader makes everybody around them look good. That's why I have to keep the focus on Jalen, because if he lose, we no matter what happens, we blame Jalen. No matter every loss, with the exception of Atlanta, has been pinned squarely And he don't get a lot of losses, but all of them get pinned squarely on his chest. But when we come to the giving out the hearts and the likes, he don't get a trophy. It's because of a Dickerson block or it's all. I'm like, look, man. There's a lot of teams, man, that don't, in the maturity, you don't never have to worry about Jalen. He not gonna pop up in the news for some bullshit. It's just his overall leadership, that leading by example. He's always just shows up, man. And the guys around him respect that. Saquon came there because we had Jalen. He could have went anywhere else. He could have went to Dallas, or he could have went to but I just want to make the point that it wasn't even about the comment. It's just, nah, man, we've been winning. The Eagles have been winning. They've even been to the Super Bowl. We are trying to figure out how can we win the Super Bowl. Who does it? How we get there? Whew. Because we even, sometimes bullying works or getting on people works at times, right? The turnovers, right? The noise was super loud in the beginning of the season. Now it hasn't happened for 8 weeks. And it's still like, that's why we're winning. That's why the games have gotten easier, because we've taken care of the ball. Swift had a good year last year. Swift still went off for us. We've had guys in this system that can play. Sirianni, I would say one thing the Eagles fans did that is good is that they stopped him from doing a bunch of stupid shit. It made you notice he kicked that field goal a little bit faster now, even against Ravens. All right, 3, all right, go ahead and kick it. But he wanted to go for it on that 4th and 2, 4th and he does, because that's what the Eagles do. But it shows a great confidence. But I just think the Eagles, from an overall standpoint, even from like Nick's maturity, because Nick can get beside himself sometimes. It's like, hey, man, you're the head coach, man. Bring it in. Don't do enough taunting. Every time something happens, you don't have to look into the stands and, remember that one guy that said something to you. It's Philly, man. Everybody's going to have something to say, whether you do good, whether you do bad. I watched it happen to the Phillies year in and year out the last couple years. World Series. Then as soon as they start playing bad, the media just starts. Then it spirals. I think the same thing that happens to the Eagles last year, man. So it's just the Philly media, man. It's just so hard to watch, because no matter how much the Eagles win, it's always like, oh, why are they winning? It's been 3 years in a row. All they've done, with the exception of maybe Jalen's second year when we lost against Tampa, every year after that, man, people have had to circle the Eagles on their calendar. We just fell off last year, man. We just fell off. Unprecedented. So I understand what you mean by like not having that person that's going to rally everybody when everything was falling apart. But see, here's where a little bit of a rant, but here's where I go with this. Lane Johnson, Mailata, Dickerson, they want to take credit for having their meeting with Sirianni, and that's what turned the season around. Well, that's all good and well, but mind you, Saquon had his worst game after that meeting, not his best game. He had his worst game of the season after the so-called glorious meeting during the bye week of what we need to change. I don't want to hear from them guys, because they don't get blamed when we don't play well either. So that's the part, if you got the high blame, you got to have the high praise with it, where we would blame Saquon if he was sucking. That's why he's getting so much praise, because we know what the alternative would be. So it's just, just so many narratives. I just want the Eagles to win. I agree. The offense, we want a little more pop and snap, but at the end of the day, somehow we make the plays when we need to.
Yep.
That's all I have to say about that. Message. Huh?
That's a point taken.
Yeah. So it's just, I turn on, I try to watch The Facility. You know the show The Facility?
No.
It's you got Shady on there, James Jones.
I can't watch any of those shows.
Chase Daniels and Acho, right?
Yeah.
Every week, it's who do you like? And it's like some court. It's all like clickbait topics. They aren't even like real football topics. And you're just like, This is a terrible show. I only watch it because the Shady was there. Now I can't even watch it anymore.
I wasn't saying anything bad about Jalen. That's the thing about this.
No. And I wasn't saying
I was only complimenting what Saquon has done this year. I even said, no disrespect to Jalen because I think he's having a great year.
And it's not. It's just he is always the last person. Just coincidentally, when you, oh man, it's that Stoughton line. Oh, look at Stoughton. Oh, look at, and it's like every team you would point to, every team in the NFL. Think about any team. You couldn't name a lineman. My point is, Greg, people probably couldn't name a lineman on Josh Allen's line. You know why? Because the credit goes to Josh Allen when they win. Josh, we don't know. I can't name a player on the Bills line. Can't tell you one. I know the Lions. I know the
Bills fan. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying is it's not just off the top of your head is what I'm saying. But you know, that's all I'm saying. Is
I hear you.
I watch the media, it gets real convenient. I've never seen a player win so much.
Well, I get you.
And get so little. It's like the player haters ball.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm gonna start referring to Jaden as Job. Never mind. I'm just
yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Hey, this game's getting ready to start though.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, you're right, man. I got cause man, I can't even watch the media no more. Man, it's madness. It's madness. I'm telling you. But yeah, man. Let's go ahead and gotta have my bird route. We'll be back a couple Tuesdays from now. Take a little break. We'll get you on the recap of the playoffs. Hopefully the Eagles are 11-2 by then.
We hope so. Yeah. After that,
that's 2 games from now.
12-2.
That's 2 games from now. 12-2. Yeah. We cannot let Russ cook.
No.
We need to put Russ on a diet.
Pickens to deal with. So
Pickens is a beast. Yep. Hopefully Mitchell can follow him. What's your predictions on these next 2 games, man?
Well, like I said, I don't want to talk score. I think that the Eagles are favored by 12. If they cover the spread, I'll be extremely happy. I think they have the potential to for sure. You just never know what this Bryce Young team's going to do. They're Jekyll and Hyde. They've been playing really great the last 2 weeks. So I think Eagles by 10 at least. The Pittsburgh one, that one could be a barn burner. It depends on, again, what they do with Russ and, how they cover these receivers. I think Najee could go off. I think that could be close to like a Ravens type game, like 24-19. So Eagles, I think Eagles at home, should have the edge in both of those games.
That's going to be who's going to be some shit talking in those stands. Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh and Philly. Oh my God.
Yeah. They don't play too often.
That's going to be some nasty stands, boy. East and Western Pennsylvania. Oh man. Yep. You love to see it, but we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Fly Eagles fly. Hopefully I'll be back smiling with a dub, man, and I'm in the semis.
Yeah, I hear you. Good luck. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, man. You got anything before we get out of here?
That's it, man. Good luck to everybody that's trying to get into their playoffs, and good luck in the playoffs, and we'll see you a week from Tuesday.
Yeah. All right. We're gone.